Hi folks, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney and a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the oral argument that was held in the vaccine mandate case. I'll have more in just a second. One of the favorite pastimes of the media and pundits is to listen to the oral arguments at any court of appeals, whether it's at the Court of Appeals in D.C. or the Court of Appeals in Iowa. It doesn't matter. They always like to listen to the oral argument and conclude from that how the judges are going to rule. And that is a very bad plan, because questions at oral argument are meant to inform the court. They are not meant to send signals to anyone as to how the court is going to rule. It just doesn't happen. While you may take away from certain things that a court says that they are leaning one way or another, doesn't always mean the way things are going to go. For example, last year, I had a case in front of the Missouri Court of Appeals, and I had a point in my brief that I thought was pretty clear, and it looked like I was going to lose. The questions I was being asked, I simply could not seem to get my answer across to the judge. And I know she was trying to understand, but she simply did not. And I came out of that oral argument pretty convinced that I had lost, and eventually, when the opinion came out, I won on all the points. So the idea that you can figure out what the court's going to do based on their questions is just wrong. Now, putting that aside, what should the court do in that case? Well, a federal agency has no more power than Congress gives it. So if Congress gives it the power to do A, B, and C, and then the courts are not going to grant additional powers just because there is an emergency. Now, there are certain implied powers. For example, the power to regulate a railroad might very well include how to structure railroad crossings. These are the kinds of things that are sort of implied in regulation. And that sort of regulatory conduct is generally permitted. But for an organization whose job it is to regulate railroads, they could not imply a power to regulate bus lines. The key question here is whether OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, has the power to implement a mandate in the workforce, whether it can force employers to make their employees become vaccinated. And it would be one thing if this was just a protective measure, but the fact of the matter is the vaccine does carry certain side effects. And as they admitted in oral argument today, there has never been another rule that OSHA has put forward that required employees to assume an additional risk at the workplace. And that seems to be what this vaccine mandate is doing. It is making workers take the jab when they may, in good conscience, not want to take the jab. Now, full disclosure, I'm vaccinated and I'm boosted, and I did it because I thought it was the right thing to do. However, I would not force anyone else to do it. I think it's right for me. It may not be right for somebody who is of childbearing years. So I don't think that the government has the power to do this, and I think the right answer in this case is to strike the mandate and issue an injunction that essentially prevents this mandate from going forward. We'll see how SCOTUS goes. If you count the votes the way the pundits do, then it looks like conservatives are going to win the day on this, and that means that the vaccine mandate will fail. But Judge Thomas, who is a bit of a wild card, said that he believes that there are certain emergency exceptions in terms of constitutionality. Now, there is a case that dates back many years called Koromatsu versus the United States, where the detention of Japanese Americans was challenged after the end of World War II. And the court upheld the imprisonment of these people, or these incarceration of these people, simply because they were Japanese on the basis of wartime need. Later cases have called that line of thinking into question, and I think with good reason. We don't just lock up people because of the way they look and their heritage. Most of those people were indeed patriotic Americans, and they didn't deserve the treatment that they received. So we'll have to see where the court comes down on this. My belief is they're probably going to strike the mandate, but it could go the other way too. And that is something that I think most people who are reporting on this fail to understand. You can never predict where a court is going to go based on the oral argument questions. It's just not a good sound way to believe or behave. So that's my take on the oral arguments today in the vaccine mandate case. If you haven't already, please go over here and subscribe to our channel. Tap the notification bell, and that way you'll be notified every time we do a video here on this channel and release it. If you have liked this video, I would appreciate a thumbs up. And if you have comments, please leave them in the comments section down below. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a terrific day.